Guys, I lost $3,600 today, and I genuinely don't think I'll be able to financially recover from today's trading day. That is something that I would say if I first started off trading and I was really caring about losses that I fucking took. And in today's trade breakdown, I'm going to go over the two trades that I took today, following my model, following my process, and executing on stuff that I would have taken if it presents itself 10 out of 10 times in the future. So I took two trades today, both on the NASDAQ, looking for shorts. And let's get into the charts and talk about why I took the shorts, what my thought process was going into the trading day, my draw on liquidity, and how I developed a narrative going into my execution. So today was actually the first trade that I took this week. I didn't have a trade on Monday from the big push we had from this massive retracement from Thursday and Friday from the opening of August, like pop back up. I didn't catch anything on Monday, didn't catch anything on Tuesday. Today, I had the sentiment and the ideology of some sort of daily SMT being created for me to then develop a bias as to what to do next. Now, if you guys are in my free Discord, I posted a daily review giving my thought process as to what happened with price and what I was really anticipating for the next day. And if you watched it, I had scenarios between marking off both previous daily highs and previous daily lows on all three index futures just to see if one side was taken, can I take a trade to the opposing side? And I wanted to see some sort of SMT being created at the lows or the highs on all three correlated assets. And if you guys saw price and how we delivered, we actually created an SMT at the previous daily highs with the Dow Jones, with YM running the previous daily highs overnight, and the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 failed. Now, my concept behind going into, or my ideology going into today, was us taking out the previous daily high on the Dow, us failing to do so, creating a swing high inside of this daily bearish gap that we still have, and still thinking that this was just a big pop back up for retracement, create some SMT inside of a daily key level and a previous daily high, and then price displacing lower, maybe taking out Monday's low, or at a minimum taking out the Tuesday's low, and then maybe eventually coming back down and taking out NFP's low. So that was kind of my daily perspective as to how I kind of framed the narrative to what I was going to do for an intraday setup. So let's look at what was going on during New York session coming into the day, and we'll monitor and go over the 4-hour to the 1-hour time frame just to see how I was able to further derive and create a bias to then go to an execution. So 4-hour time frame, what do we notice here? I have the red lines at previous daily highs and lows. You could see that we actually took out the previous daily lows on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ here, but that didn't really affect me too much into going for a trade moving forward, because what I had my eyes glued to is looking at what happened, what the Dow actually did overnight. The Dow Jones actually took out this corresponding high, running the previous daily high, created an SMT divergence between the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. And where did we create that SMT? We created that SMT divergence inside of a 4-hour bearish fair value gap resting right here, just like that. And we had the NASDAQ actually fail to tag that 4-hour bearish fair value gap just like that, while also having this massive SMT just like this. So going into the trading day, I had a bearish bias and a bearish sentiment, and I believed that after seeing this 4-hour 6 a.m. candle, I wanted to see price potentially, at least on the Dow Jones, reach this resting low from Monday or from Tuesday, and then have the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 play catch up to run also the previous daily low, or at least at a bare minimum, take it down to Asia lows. That would have been my best case scenario here. So let's go down to the hourly chart just to stack, just to see, since we have a 4-hour bias, let's go to the hourly and look at this time frame prior to equities open. All right, so monitoring this hourly chart, this is what we have and what we're kind of working with right now. So this 9 o'clock candle had equities open, and as you can see during this 9 o'clock candle, what did we do exactly? We actually manipulated higher, clearing and running this short-term high while still holding that 4-hour SMT that we have with the Dow Jones. And not the Dow Jones, with the S&P 500. The Dow Jones distributed aggressively lower, already running the Asia lows. So in my head, I was seeing this as just the market already tipping its hand for us to distribute lower, since we already had a manipulation, and we had a manipulation at a key time, 9:30. So I wanted to see the reaction after price created the run of the short-term high, created the SMT. I wanted to see, will price be able to give me an execution and run lower based off of how we have all of this stacked SMT on that previous daily high. We had the SMT set in at the 4-hour gap. Now we have SMT set in at a key time during New York AM session at equities open. So now that I see all of this, I'm going to also drop to the 5-minute chart and show you exactly where I took my first execution for the shorts. So we're on the 5-minute chart now. Pay attention to the NASDAQ chart on the left. As you can see, we have the Dow Jones on the right running the Asia lows. We still have yet to take out the Asia lows on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Now, this is 9:30 open. When there's no news on a day, you guys already know what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to react. We're supposed to react and anticipate 9:30 to provide either a manipulation move or a distribution move. Now, looking at this 9:30 candle as to how we pressed higher, we still have that SMT set into place. I want to see a change in save delivery following this. And as you could see here, we actually had the NASDAQ create a higher high like that, while the S&P 500 created a lower high. Well, technically another SMT, but relative equal highs. But we're not going to really factor that in. So I'm noticing and picking up on this as price manipulating higher to then go lower. So the next 5-minute candle actually does this and drops hard. So now in my eyes, I see this as a change in save delivery and a bearish order block that I could then utilize as a short position, because a lot of the times, or every single other trade that we've taken before in the past, whenever we have a key time provide a sharp move higher followed by, after that key time, a sharp move lower, that's an indication for me that the high of the day is potentially set in. So what did I do after this situation? I put in a sell limit at the tag of that up close candle's opening price. My stop loss went at the SMT set high, and my target was a 1 to 2 risk to reward, which lied directly at Asia lows, which was my draw on liquidity. And you guys can see what happened after this. We had literally a stop out within 5 minutes, or sorry, not 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 5-minute candles. And at this point, I was like, all right, I don't really know what could happen here. Is price going to now be a seek and destroy profile day, or is price going to use me as liquidity and then we drop lower? So that was my first execution. Again, I took this full risk on my accounts, and then if I take a second trade, it's going to be half of that to make the money back of what I lost on the first trade, going for another 1 to 2 risk to reward. So I was watching the 15-minute chart and looking to see what was happening next on price delivery. So let's kind of look at like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ at this key time, and look at this next 15-minute candle here as to how we actually printed between the three. So here's the next 15-minute candle that does this massive move, just like this. And what actually happens at this time is the NASDAQ ends up pushing higher aggressively, while the S&P 500 is now creating a lower high, just like this. We're still inside of that 4-hour gap, and now we have the NASDAQ tagging this 4-hour bearish gap. Obviously, you can see how what the reaction was after, but let's just keep our eyes understanding that while watching price here, this is us within a 4-hour bearish fair value gap. Looking at the S&P 500 as well, we were forming a bearish SMT inside of a hourly bearish fair value gap aligned with that 4-hour gap as well here. So if I'm looking to see what is going on at this key time, I'm looking at this now as just price, again, manipulating higher to then potentially go lower. And look at what time this is also happening at, 10 o'clock. The new 4-hour candle is forming here. Now, if the new 4-hour candle is forming here and we're just creating another set of SMT divergence, am I going to assume that price is going to then continue lower or higher from here? I'm going to anticipate price is going to continue lower from here based on the fact that we are creating an SMT divergence at a new 4-hour candle and we're potentially framing the wick for an open high low close. Now, the next 15-minute candle here does this. We have a change in save delivery again on the 15-minute time frame from this candle clearing this short-term high inside of a 4-hour gap, creating an SMT. We close below it. This is a 15-minute bearish order block right there. The S&P 500 also closes below here, creating another 15-minute bearish order block here. So I have two indications of a change in save delivery on both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, while the Dow Jones is still acting heavy, trading down lower, potentially reaching the previous daily low. Now that was my indication and like idea of we are now able to go lower. And I took this execution aligning with a 5-minute change in save delivery as well. As you could see here, this 5-minute candle here aligned with the 15-minute bearish order block because of the stacked confirmation that I wanted to get in order for me to take another trade. So at this point in time, I took the short from this 5-minute up close candle. Stop loss just went at the high, and I went to try and target a 1 to 2 risk to reward, which roughly lied just shy of the Asia lows. So this was my execution. And unfortunately, you could see price did not want to give me what I needed, and it eventually just stopped me out just like that. And these setups that I'm showing you guys here are trades that I would take 10 out of 10 times. I don't care about these losses. These are my setups, and I will take them every single fucking time. Now, I know that it is annoying to take losses. It's no matter who you are or what type of trader you are, it hurts to hear order filled from your stop or stop filled, whatever it is. I do not have any sort of eagerness to chase losses like this because they match perfectly with my model. You will have an eagerness to chase losses when you take trades outside of your model. I said this to my Discord because somebody was like having like a poor trading day, or they were trying to chase after the first loss and they ended up taking an extra 4 or 5 losses, hurting their P&L even more than it should have. Now, when you take losses that are good in retrospect to your model, you don't feel that like that urge or that anxiety spike that you need to make it back. When you take good losses, it might be red in your P&L, but it is a W and it is green in your journal. And that's what you need to stay strict about. When I take losses, they are based off of my model. And that's why when I posted the Instagram reel and the YouTube short and the TikTok, every single person in the comments was saying that they took the exact same trades. We all view price the same way, and we have the same ideology and the same approach as to how we're framing these trades. And we will take losses. That's just a part of the business. It's just a business expense. And that's how you have to look at it. Follow the same process. Keep trusting this exact journey, and you will be fine long term, because I know all it takes is one trade for me to recoup my losses and make some money back. It's not hard for you guys to just follow the rules. Just make sure that when you're following these rules, stay strict with the limitations in regards to the amount of losses that you are taking. Maximize that at 2 a day, full risk, and then a half risk on the second trade to recoup that first initial loss. And if you lose on both attempts, that's the market telling you it is not the conditions for you to trade. And I'm looking at this price action as to how do we delivered, moving up, then back down, up, back, and then back down, and then back up. That's not something that I want to see. That is not something that I want to see. I want to avoid these conditions at all costs, and I'm happy with taking 2 losses today because these trades aligned everything what I needed it to, and that is a win for me. So if you're ever feeling down about yourself, about your trading, or taking a loss, just know that all you're doing here is you're following your rules and you're sticking true to a system that you know works over time, and your days of winning will come in due time. And this is a marathon game, not a sprint. Trust the process, follow your shit, and you will be A-okay. Now, I want you guys to know, like, obviously, I'm not a robot. I don't win every single day. This is the first trade that I took all week, and I'm currently down on the week. Am I stressing? No. I'm just doing my due diligence, following my rules, and executing based off of what I know and how I see price deliver in the market. And that is all we can do as traders. But again, I hope you guys learned something from this video and you liked me showing my losses and my ideology as to how I took the trades that I took today. And hopefully the rest of the week can actually offer an opportunity for us to then capitalize and catch something that's high probability. If you like the video and you want to see more stuff like this of me showing every single possible trade that I am taking, win or loss, let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. We're so close to 40,000 subs. Help brother out. But take care, guys. Good luck, good trading for the rest of the week. And I will see you guys all for the next upload. Deuces, everybody.